Well, Hot Takes is definitely becoming an up and coming brand, and I've been following you a little bit, and I'm very interested. I like your some of your kind of recurring bits or your videos. For example, every Friday, right? It's going
Yeah,
down. It's Rebecca
Black
Black Friday. But listen, if I may call you Hot Takes, this is exactly why I wanted to bring you on to Elevated Thoughts because I've noticed that for I'm not calling you out, but a relatively smaller account, you pull a ton of engagement. I can't believe what you've done with your audience. I would say you probably get double, triple, or even quadruple the amount of likes and views that I get per post. And I've got, quite a few followers. So
Yeah.
how did you get into this and what are you doing that's working so well?
So funny enough, so you look at my account and it has like the start date. It actually will say, I think it's like 2011 or 2012. I am a very political person, but I don't portray that much anymore on Twitter. I think it was after an election one year, I was like, I'm creating a political Twitter and I'm going to go on and I'm going to talk about all the stuff I want to talk about. And that lasted for like 2 hours. And then I got bored with it. And then the account lay dormant for a few years. And then I got into crypto and I started doing crypto on there for a couple months. Then I got into penny pot stocks, which is just really random, but I got real big into that. And like,
Yep. I know some of those in Canada.
Yeah, exactly. I owned some Canadian pot stocks for a little bit and all this kind of stuff. And so the account, I kind of used it for that for a couple months. And I think in total, over all those years, I maybe had like 140 followers or something. And it was these spurts of like a month or two that I would use it and then it would be dormant for years. And then finally, a buddy of mine who's on Twitter all the time was like, yeah, if you just buy a check mark, you get a lot more like impressions and stuff now. And I was like, huh, okay, well, why not? Let's see what I can do. So I created what was Hot Takes Politics, was the original handle. I was going back to the political roots, and I was just a logo. I wasn't an emoji face or anything like that. And the whole brand was, I'm going in and I'm going to be a troll in people's comments. And like, I would,
the reply guy, right?
Yes, but I didn't even know what that was. I just knew that like Twitter 1.0 was all about just like trolling. Like that's what I just accepted as what Twitter was. So that's what I was doing. I was going on like all the political accounts and I was, just making just ridiculous jokes and, you get all kinds of hate. You get flamed like that. I remember one guy got on there. He's like, "You're not even funny." And then he gave me an entire psych evaluation as to why I was a sociopath. And I was like, man, I'm the sociopath? Like, what's going on here? And so I did that for a few months. And then I started like going into spaces and stuff. And that's where you really kind of start forming connections with people because you talk to them, right? And, I started kind of getting a little bit more personable with people. And I was like, it's kind of weird that I'm on this brand type weird logo thing. Like I wasn't real sure what I was doing with the account.
Right.
And, Brock Pearson, which everybody knows, I guess, is the hot dog guy. Like,
sure.
I would always end up in spaces with him, right? And he was always, at that point, he was really into like the algorithm and talking about like kind of growing your account, which he's super sick of now because everybody blew him up about it back then. But that was kind of when I started pivoting and like, I'd be like, does it make sense for me to go away from being a logo and being like a face? And so I did. I went to this Memoji face and then I didn't have ads in my profile back during the fall when there was like this huge issue with the ad program where nobody had ads. And so,
well, shout out Brock, right? He was the ex-doctor, he and Shane.
He was. They were the ex-doctors. And I remember specifically in one space, I asked him, I said, do you think the fact that I have politics in my name is potentially hurting me having ads in my account? And they were like, I don't know, but probably wouldn't hurt to take it off. And I was like, all right, that works. So when I changed my face, I cut the politics off the handle. And at that point, I was like, I'm not going to talk about politics very much anymore. Like I am just going to be here just to be a goofball and have fun and, be ridiculous. And as I started doing that, I decided I was no longer going to be a reply guy either.
Yeah.
That's the big thing. Everybody wants to be a reply guy because they get their impressions. I'd already gotten into the monetization program by being a reply guy. At that point, I was like, I want to build a community. I don't want to just grift and, get other people's impressions. I want to build them myself, which is very hard because at that point I was probably less than 1,000 followers maybe.
Yep.
So that's kind of what I started doing, was just, I'm going to build my own community, my own group. And I started this shtick of $0 subscriptions.
Yes, I remember that. Yes, best value on X.
Yes, the best value on X. You can't get a better value than $0. And that all came because it seemed like all these big accounts had these subscriptions that they were pushing. And here I am. I've applied for subscriptions and never heard back. So I was like, you know what? $0. That's what you're going to get with me. And
oh man, I want to rub it in for a sec. I applied on like the first day that subscriptions were available. I have no subscription content. I don't know why they gave it to me. I got it like the next day.
that's
And
ridiculous. Not that you got it, but like,
no, I agree. How could people be waiting years? It seems so mismanaged. It's so
wild.
weird. But hey, I guess that's, I guess the rumors say, right, they're working on a skeleton crew. Who knows? I think Elon has some maybe higher level plans, but yeah. So you built this community. You've built out these inside jokes. You make these awesome short videos. You feature Rebecca Black and George W. all the time, and really, I think your audience is eating it up. So honestly, kudos to you, because it's a really cool idea. I don't think there's any other memoji influencers, just like Brock, the hot dog influencer, or me, the elevator influencer. You got to have your shtick.
Exactly.
So. No, man, I'm interested to hear it. And actually, it brings me to the next question I had. So we got into the monetization program, let's call it a couple months ago, maybe a year now. Mm-hmm. And I think you've probably had a similar, impression that I've gotten. We tweet our butts off. Our screen time is through the roof. Our friends and families are pissed at us because we're on this stuff. And all of a sudden, $17 was deposited, $33, it's like almost like slave wages. I mean, what have you found? Is it worth the time, energy, and pain?
So if you would have asked me before Friday, I would have probably given you a little bit rosier of an answer.
Okay.
So I'll break it down in two ways: pre-Friday and post-Friday, or Rebecca Black Day, as I like to call it.
And just for the listeners, that's about 1 week ago. So we're about 5 days from that. Yeah.
So basically, I always knew that I was going to get kind of a smaller payout than most, because I'm a very small account. And what I'm trying to do is not be a reply guy, which is what all other small accounts are doing and getting paid. I mean, some small accounts get paid really good money just as a reply guy. I didn't want to do that. I wanted.
Well, I hate to cut you off, but isn't that weird? Because they specifically say it's only based off of views on your original content. Yet there's no delineation in the analytics. There's no anything that I can tell that we're getting any sort of metrics. And yeah, you're saying, people with 600 followers who post 1,000 replies a day, they're getting 10 million impressions, and they're the ones getting a couple $100. It is kind of confusing.
Absolutely. And honestly, I would bet that on the back end, they don't even know how people are getting paid in a lot of cases. I think that I think it's probably a mess, and they don't let on to that because it looks bad to let on that it's a mess.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I wanted to focus on content. I wanted to focus on. I didn't want this whole, let me turn on notifications for these 3 accounts and go, put some 3-word comment. And yeah, I might get 800,000 views on one of them, but it's not providing any value that I want to provide. So I knew once I started doing the original content, my payouts would be low. And for the most part, they were. If I got $25, I was ecstatic. I was like, let's go. I can pay for the subscription and then maybe buy a drink at the gas station,
Yep.
But, and so that was going fairly steady. And then there was a time span where I would only get paid every other payout, which was understandable when you're there's a $10 threshold, and when you are creating your own content and only getting 100,000 views for a month, 400,000 views for a month, you're not going to make a ton of money. I benefit though because, as you kind of alluded to earlier, for my size, I pull a fairly big audience.
Yeah.
And most, if not, 99% of them are blue checks. That's not really, I didn't really mean for that to happen, because I typically respond to everybody that replies to me. I don't even care if they're in the show more anymore. If it's a good comment and they're like hidden behind that banner, I'll still reply. Now, if they're down there and they're calling me a dickhead or something like that, then yeah, I'll leave you down there. But
I agree with you. I do that as well. I don't like to kind of self-censor to get around any algorithms. Yeah, I completely agree. I think that's the right way. I mean, I found that on X, you get like per million views, something like, it's ridiculous. It's like $30 per million.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, right. But you compare that to something like YouTube, and I see you've taken some of your content over there. And listen, I can't talk to shorts, but on long form videos, these people are making closer to $3,000 per million views, which is significantly different by a factor of 100. So,
it's pretty wild. And, I have been lucky that, like I said, that the audience that I have, I'm not going to say I've cultivated it, but I build relationships. I mean, that is what I've been trying to do on here is you reply to me, not only am I going to respond to you in the comments, but then if you reply to me, a couple different times, I'm going to start looking at your content and try to reply to you. Because if you're a good enough person to come talk about my ridiculous content that I'm putting out, I at least want to try to pay it forward and go back to you and return the favor. I may not do it every time, but I try, And so it was getting to a point where things were just kind of stagnant, like, okay, $20 a month, whatever, that works. Then I got in February when they did the great pause, where they paused a bunch of accounts.
Mm-hmm. Of course, yeah, like 3 months ago. Yeah.
I got paused with no explanation. And I was like, well, this sucks. And I got on some pretty big spaces, and they let me on stage because I think I was one of the first accounts to post about it. Because it was like I got the notification, I immediately screenshot it and was like, if they don't figure this out, then I'm going to pause my subscription to you guys, X, And so I don't know, like the Diligent spaces. I'm sure you've seen those.
Diligent Denizen. Yeah.
Yeah, he gets like 10,000 people sometimes on his spaces. He was hosting one, and I got on stage with that. And they were like, yeah, we kind of heard about this because of your post. Tell us about it. So I got on there, and I was hot at that moment. Like I was so angry at the situation. I was like, Elon can suck a dick. And they were like, whoa. And I was like, no, I'll say it again. Elon Musk can suck a big fat dick,
Hey, he says it right on the New York Times.
Exactly. If he can tell, yeah, exactly. So the next day, I got unpaused. Now,
oh, wow.
To find out, there was some ex-employees that kind of, I think, were back channeling with some people, helping get some false positives unpaused. And I ended up benefiting from that, which I did not know until like this past week. I thought they just unpaused me, and then I was talking to somebody in the back channels, and they're like, no, I put your name back out there. And I was like, oh, well, thank you, but that kind of sucks that like they would have kept me paused forever if I didn't just know this person, that just showed like how fragile the whole thing is, right?
Well, hey, a testament to getting exposure on those spaces and actually speaking your mind and talking to people and building those connections. That's one of the things that I like about X. And I've been on X on, just over 3 years. So actually not that long. I got on after the 2020 election, which is probably the election you were talking about before. I think
I was more like Obama era election.
Okay, fair enough. Well, I got on that after the 2020 because I was like, I'm fed up with the news cycle and all of this stuff. I wanted a different way to get my media. So I made my Twitter, and I had fun with it, and I definitely had a political slant. but I still have the political slant, and I really like politics, so I am doing that. But the monetization is a weird one because it's like, I liked how you just said that. You were hot, you were fired up. I mean,
Dude,
we're getting
so
fired up over $40. Really,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
kind of crazy how they could do that to us.
Well, and so they unpause me, and then the next like 3, 4, 5, however many payouts, incrementally higher each time. Like I went from only getting paid once a month to getting paid every 2 weeks, and they were each time higher than the last. So I'm like, huh, well, this is awesome. Like, who knows? Where's the sky? You know? And so my last payout was $76. And I had started putting like a lot more video content out. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go balls to the wall with the video content. I'm going to put out something almost every day if I can.
Yep.
I'm going to, you know, start working on more of these little skits and stuff that I've been doing with like George Bush and, you know, Rebecca Black and all that kind of crap. And so I put in probably more time than I have in a very long time just getting all this together. I mean, I think I showed for 1 week, I was like 56 hours screen time. That does not count actually
Computer editing.
yeah, all the editing, you know, thinking of, because even sometimes when you're not like hands to the keyboard or hands to the phone, like you're sitting there kind of like, all right, workshopping these skits in your head and all that kind of stuff. And like, I have a full-time job and like a family. Like this is a lot of like staying up later into the night, you know, with these, you know, editing these videos, things like that. And Friday comes by and nothing. I had gotten like 100,000 more impressions. All my video views were through the roof compared to the previous week. I mean, every metric that you could have looked at from 1 week to the next, or like one pay period to the next, I was higher. And so I was like, how on earth did I not, how did I go from getting the highest amount that I've ever gotten in a 2-week period to 0?
Yeah.
And I was at a buddy's house and he was like, how many hours did you put in? He's like, yeah, 56 or whatever. He's like, and how much have you made for the year? And I was like, I don't know, 300 or 400 maybe, if you count everything that I've done. And he was like, you realize you could go work at McDonald's and double, triple, quadruple, 10 times that amount. And I was like, yeah, when you put it that way, it does sound pretty stupid. What am I doing?
I get it though. So like, listen, I also have a full-time job. I have a family, a 7-month-old baby, and my wife is always telling me, get the hell off the computer and the phone. But it's interesting. It's an interesting phenomenon when you can go from making your first $11 and then the following 2 weeks or month, you make like 30 or 40. And then when you first get your 70, 80, $100 paycheck, I think I got one that was maybe 110 on a really good month. And you know, you start to say to yourself, wow, actually, I just quadrupled that. I think I could keep it going. So
Exactly.
for everyone who's listening, it's like, these guys are idiots. The truth is
Absolutely.
that, right, it's almost like you're on the precipice of, you feel it. You feel you could get there. And then all of a sudden, the algorithm changes. And what did we see last week? Do you remember this? Every big account, 197,000 followers. It doesn't matter. They could do live videos every day in Spaces. The biggest account you could find. The algorithm change is really going to be helping the small accounts going forward.
Yeah.
We're removing the like button. No one can repost anymore. You're going to like this as a small account. I'm looking at myself, wait a minute. No one's going to engage. No one's going to click a button. Nobody already clicks a button. And now it's only the most superficial metric is what's going to show. Views. Who gets the most views? Those people with 197,000 followers, man.
Exactly. When they made that announcement that they were getting rid of the buttons, I was like, because I saw the exact same post. And look, I won't name names because this is your podcast. I don't want to get you in any hot water. But there's one account that really pushes that, oh, this is going to be great for small accounts. And it's like, no, it's not. Because now you have just made it harder. Now, I know that sounds ridiculous when you're talking about just making one click of the thumb. But like, that is still making it harder for someone to engage with your post. I mean, you now have to go in, click the post in some swiping fashion or whatever it is, just to like it. And then if you want to comment, you got to go do it again.
Yeah. Oh, that's...
And comments
true,
are what
actually.
they want, right? They want the discussion. That's what supposedly pushes things. And it's like, I don't know. It is such a vain thing. Like, oh, we just want to take out the clutter. For what? What's the benefit?
Well, also in all of the mock-ups they've shown, I actually think it looks worse. It's too crowded now, and it looks like a reply section. But that's a great point. I didn't even think about that. Right? They're taking away likes and reposts, but that means they're also taking away the comment button, and that's exactly what they want you to do.
Exactly.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. But I think one of the things that, I definitely know that you do it and I do it too, is you got to try to put the money back of mind, and you put the content front of mind, right? And staying true and authentic to yourself. And that's why I started this podcast. I saw myself going down this rabbit hole of getting into right-wing politics a little bit much and believing every single tweet I read. And one of my very close friends, who's Mike, who's usually on the show with me, he's my left-wing counterpart, right? And he made an X. I forced him to make an X account. He was very reluctant. And they basically rate limited him and sent him messages like, yep, you're not going to be able to comment anymore today. So he rage quit Twitter. We have an episode on that. But it's been a good experience to get out there and conversate and form real relationships. But most importantly, like staying true. I don't want to post what a lot of these accounts are, where it's kind of like growth hacks. It seems like the only people who are making money and growing are the people who talk about making money and growing. And where the heck are the ones that are like just doing the normal stuff like you and me, having fun, frankly?
Right.
And you probably have more fun than me. I do a little bit more news, but so let me ask you, since Elon took over and you admit you were into politics a little bit, one of the things you hear in the mainstream media every day is how the site has become kind of overrun by racism, anti-Semitism, far-right extremism. I'm going to put my hand up and say we're hating a little bit on Twitter. I think they've done a good job at limiting it. I don't see it very often. However, there are times where I'll click into a post and the whole comment section is talking, really nasty stuff that I don't even want to repeat. And it's like, oh, wow, now I do see what they're talking about. Have you ever come across that?
Yeah. I've reported a few accounts, and you hear these complaints happen, and you've got a section of Twitter, a very large section of Twitter, that believes Elon can do no wrong. And I don't know, maybe you even kind of fall in that category. I don't know, but they always reply back, well, I never see any of this. You must really be going to look for it. And I'm like, no. They've shown up in my comment section. I'm a small account. I've clicked on somebody's profile in my comment section, and it's taken me to someone's account that's showing pictures of people being beheaded, and not just...
No, I know.
It's racially motivated. Let me put it that way. Not to get too graphic on your show here, but like, if I'm running into that at a very small scale that I operate in, then I can only imagine people that have massive followings, their comment sections. So do I think that this is unique to Twitter? No. Do I think you find anti-Semitism and racism and all that on all the other platforms? Yes. What I tell people, though, I think the biggest difference is, for one, the CEOs don't really do, or no, I guess he's not the CEO. The owners don't really use the platform the way that he does, so they kind of stay out of the limelight. They also can, because of that, they can hide behind well, our policy is we don't allow that.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Advertisers go to that, they get the warm and fuzzies. Even if it's on the platform, the advertisers can go, well, Facebook doesn't allow that. We stand by Facebook's motto of not allowing that. Come over to Twitter, what's Elon Musk do? Love him or hate him, he does something stupid by reposting someone that he's not fully paying attention to who they are, what they're about. Yep. And then that gets picked up. There's no coming back from that. When your owner of the platform reposts somebody making an anti-Semitic trope, the news is going to run with it. And then at that point, what do advertisers have? No other option. They can't be linked to that. So yes, it's probably going on other platforms. definitely going on at other platforms, but because he has the Trump effect, where
Yes.
like he can't get out of his own way sometimes. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I've said this about Trump, and not to turn this too political, but like,
Hey, this is politics, buddy.
take his phone away, and get the cameras away from him, and he probably ends up being your average politician.
Yes, I agree completely with that.
You
Yes.
know, but because he just can't shut up, like he just needs to say things, he's always going to hurt himself. And it's the same with Elon. Elon might, for all we know, he could be the smartest man on the planet. I don't know if I buy that, but there's a lot of people that do. If he would just
That's
shut
for
up,
sure.
put the phone down, and let Linda run the company,
Yeah.
advertisers would come back. Everybody has a short memory and attention span. Like, just give it time. But man, he just comes out here, and I could go all day about him. I don't think he's really as free speech as he says he is. I think that's more of a marketing tool that he uses. But yeah.
I think it's interesting. I mean, his whole mantra was freedom of speech, but not reach. I mean, it's almost like the carve out for hate speech, right? If you're a free speech absolutist, you say that hate speech just doesn't exist. So if you're a free speech absolutist, wouldn't reach also be, part of that, or equal at least? But
I'll give you 3 reasons, and the third one actually happened today. This is why I don't think he is as free speech as he makes himself out to be. One, he banned or suspended that account that was posting his jet location, which
Yes.
is publicly available information. This kid did not have secret info on Elon Musk. All he did was take public information and post it on Twitter.
yes.
If you're into freedom of speech, you don't do anything about that. The other is the fight that he's been having with the Brazilian government. Put on this big show, and then what quietly kind of comes out a couple weeks ago? Well, we're going to abide by the laws for now, and then we haven't heard anything else about it, really. And so did he just kind of back down after puffing his chest? Because what are you going to do,
Yeah, I forgot about that. I'm going to look into that a little more tomorrow.
In fact, check me. In fact, if I'm wrong, just cut this whole piece out.
No, you're right. You're right. You're on it. It's a
And
great
then-
one. And I know what your last one is, and I'm excited for this one.
The last one is the post that he put out today with a poll. Did you see this poll?
No, I thought you were going to say that some certain someone is getting unbanned.
No. We can talk about that too if you want. But like, he put out a poll today that said something to the effect of, if you live in America and you put up another country's flag, you should get a mandatory one-way pass to another country, minimum 6 months. And so, of course, I had to comment, which he never saw, because 8,000 people comment on his stuff in the first minute.
Yeah.
I said, well, I guess freedom of speech and expression only goes so far in your mind, because at the end of the day, if you're a free speech absolutist, you can put up any freaking flag you want.
I mean, that's like a hallmark of a
Exactly.
Supreme Court decision, right? Burning the flag. That was determined to be free speech. It's kind of a weird. This goes exactly to what you just said, right? He goes and steps on his own toes for no reason. Like, there's just no reason to post that. Does he want to be an edgelord, or does he want to be like a social justice warrior for Israel? I just don't get the motive for it, really. And I think it's just that there's no motive. There's no plan.
No.
There's not really thinking about it. He legit just hangs out on Twitter, which, isn't great for billionaire owners of those companies.
No.
Like, Zuck certainly isn't commenting on potentially Hitler-related content. Like,
No.
he's not doing that.
No.
So let me ask you this. What do you see as the future of X, or the imminent future of X? I have been trying to grow my page 3 years. I've kind of stalled out the last couple months trying to build this podcast, but a lot of people tell me that they think it's going to go away, or it's going to get swept away with Elon's changes and the media telling us it's dying, right? Personally, I don't agree with that. I think X is growing in the right way. I don't think it's going to go into a video platform to be like a YouTube anytime soon with their TV apps. And, I post hour-long podcast episodes. It gets no attention at all. And YouTube, times 20 attention. So, but I do think it's going to be around. What do you think? Do you think it's going to be known as the right-wing cesspool like Truth Social in a little bit, or not really?
No, I don't think it's going to get that bad. I still think it has a decent reputation, despite everything that he will occasionally do. I do think it was terrible branding to change the name. It should have remained Twitter. It's not very often that a company is able to get a word like tweet or tweeting in the lexicon. Like, I mean, everybody knows what that is, and you just threw away like almost 20 years worth of marketing because you like a letter. I don't know. I think...
Yeah, literally, it's terrible.
Exactly,
it is strange,
yeah.
and it's like I joke. We lived in Queens, my wife and I, for 8 years before moving into the suburbs in Connecticut, and we lived right next to the 59th Street Bridge. Well, it's also known as the Ed Koch Bridge or the Queensboro Bridge. Now you've got this phenomenon on X. Is it X, Twitter, tweets, post, repost, retweet?
Right.
I still use the old terms, frankly, and I was only on Twitter 1.0 for like a year and a half.
Yeah. So I think if I ran the company today, my number one priority, where I would be diverting the most resources to, is getting up some version of Vine up and running. And the reason, and the reason I say that is, one, obviously all the stuff going on with TikTok, right?
Yeah.
Like if that gets banned, or at the very least, if the algorithm gets stripped.
Yeah, that's what I've been hearing them say.
It will not be what it is today, and you're going to have people looking to leave. So you need to be competitive in that marketplace of short form video. Right now, they've got zero advantage. I mean...
Well, do you ever watch a video on Twitter and then do the TikTok move to swipe up? Because you do get another video, but nobody does.
I've done it by accident once or twice, and it is like really random, unrelated content. And honestly, there's just not enough people performing or producing short form content on this platform. As someone that's been doing it, like, I feel like I look around the room and there's maybe like one other person that does anything like that, or maybe a couple people, but not at scale, and they're all small accounts. No large account is putting out short form, entertaining or educational content.
Well, actually, something comes to mind, because I started by doing similar short form where you kind of heavily edit out the, it's still me talking, because I'm politics page, but it's like I edit out all the ums, all the spaces. I kind of zoom in on my face. I add a funny graphic or a sound effect, and it's really engaging, and it's 59 seconds, right? Because YouTube Shorts, you can only do 59. But exactly what you're saying. Like, it was really hit or miss, and there's not really how should I say this? It doesn't really work in the feed. I feel like people come to Twitter for text, and they're reading, and they get to a video. Maybe they don't even have their sound on, and they scroll right away. It doesn't have its own dedicated place. Or, for example, this podcast, I'm enjoying posting it on YouTube, and I'm posting it on Twitter as well, and Spotify. But the truth is, when I post it on there I am, Twitter, X, see what I'm doing. But, right, when I post it on X, it kind of like disappears in my page. And I feel like if somebody wanted to watch the podcast, how the heck are they even going to find it? They have to go through all my nonsense that I tweet every day.
Absolutely. And that is the biggest problem. I mean, you go to YouTube Shorts or TikTok, the interface is you see one video at a time, you swipe up, swipe down, whatever, and it's your next video. This, it's like you might get just a long form post, and then a meme, and then a video, and it's like there's no rhyme or reason as to what you're being fed. So it's just they need to figure that out. If they're really going to compete. Now, you asked what I think, like, what's going to happen to the platform. I don't think it's going to go away. What I think will happen is eventually it's either not going to be profitable enough for Elon to keep it, or he will make it profitable enough to where he'll take it public again.
Oh, interesting. What? Well, was it ever public? I don't think so.
Yeah. It was public. He basically
bought
it
yes,
and
per share,
privatized
obviously.
it. Yeah. And so I think that's what's going to happen. I do not think that this is going to be a long-term play for Elon. I think he will be here for a few years. Because at the end of the day, why? Now, I do have reasons why. I think he's doing it for the AI play. You get a ton of data all at once. Although
that's the next thing we were talking about that earlier
is pretty bad.
Oh God!
But yeah, I think that's maybe his ultimate play. Other than the fact that he just wants a playground that he can run wild on and say whatever he wants and get all the praise. And yeah, I mean that's the only thing I can think of. But at the end of the day, I do not think that this will be something that he takes to the grave. You know, he's going to own it for 50 years. I think he'll finally get out of it because Tesla and SpaceX and even the Boring Company that's, you know, making underground tunnels, all of that in my mind is more in his wheelhouse, right? Engineering. Yeah. That is what he needs to focus on. Social aspect of all that, I'm sorry, guy, but you need to maybe step out of your lane there and move over.
It's actually really funny the way you say that, because now that I'm thinking about it, like all the people who make social media platforms, not exactly the most social type guys, you know what I mean?
Yeah, Zuckerberg looks like a freaking mannequin whenever he's at those MMA fights.
Yeah. Did you see the Gen Z photo of him where he's got like the chain and the little curls?
Yeah.
I was cracking up at that. I couldn't tell if it was real or not. I really couldn't.
I still don't know. I mean, is it fake? Is it real? Has anybody confirmed?
I'll tell you what, I like Zuck more and more as days go on. Like, you know, I don't follow MMA, but you got to respect someone that tosses their body around like that and trains hard every day. And he's just, there was one video I remember he put out when the Apple Vision came out, and he was basically just straight up. It was like this, was sitting in front of a camera, trashing it, going, oh
yes.
No, our Meta does this, our Meta does that. This, I'm surprised it doesn't even do that. Has a wire coming out of it. Like, I don't know. I have the Meta Quest too. It's actually kind of fun, but all I know how to do on it is play Beat Saber, which it's kind of fun.
Funny enough, I have an Apple Vision Pro
wow.
that I won on Twitter.
Whoa, in like a giveaway?
Yeah. So the guy that owns TED Talk was running a contest where he was giving away 10 Apple Vision Pros.
Jeez.
And because he had a book that he'd come out called Infectious Generosity, and so he was running this contest. Nominate someone that is super generous and tell us why, and then if you can get whoever gets the most, I don't know, whatever engagement with this guy or whatever that you nominate, you too will also win one. So I don't know if you know who Travis Radford is, but he's a guy that has been we followed each other for a while. He's another really small account, but he will put out video content, and it'll be him like going into a parking lot trying to give away $20, you know, or picking up trash on the side of the road, like, and doing all this kind of stuff. Like, his content is really like just trying to go out and make the world a better place type deal. Yeah. And so I sat down and I got my mic out and I put up this whole like video montage and really broke down like why he deserved to win this. And then I went back to my community. I was like, let's just repost the crap out of this and get Travis a win. And you had to use a very specific hashtag. And if you went back and looked at that hashtag, it was like my post retweeted like 70 times, you know, like over and over and over and over again. So he ended up winning that category. And then by default, because I pushed him, I won one. So we both ended up with Apple Vision Pros. And
that is a sick win. That is great.
I was so excited because before that got announced, I was trying to talk my wife into like, okay, I'm a huge Apple fanboy. I mean, I've got a freaking Apple face, right?
Right,
like,
fair.
I'm like, how do we justify me spending $3,500? And she's like, there's no way we justify that. Stop talking about it.
Yeah, right. No, exactly. Yeah.
And so then I was like, hey, guess what? I just won this.
Yeah, no, that's pretty epic, man. And have you found it's fun, it's cool, or it's kind of a gimmick?
It is really good for video content. If you want to watch a movie, you can, I'll sit there.
Yeah, I guess it's like your whole screen.
Yeah. So basically, this is what I end up using it for the most. My wife will fall asleep, and I'll be sitting there in bed, and I'm like, oh, I want to watch this TV show or this movie, and I'll put myself on the moon right? You can make it immersive where you're sitting on the moon, so like everything in your
cool.
room is gone. And then I'll turn this 90-inch screen or 100-inch screen and just throw it up. And then I just lay back, and you can lay in whatever position you want because you can move the screen all over.
Yeah.
And so like I'll sit there and you're watching like 8K videos and some of the immersive content that they've kind of put out as demos and through like Apple TV and stuff is freaking unreal. I
yeah.
can't wait for them to actually build that into like more like TV shows and movies and stuff like that, because it's like you're in the room with like some of these people, and you kind of have to like step back for a second and be like, oh, I can't really like reach out and touch that person.
Yeah, yeah. I will say I had like very early VR systems where you kind of slip your phone into like
Yes,
a
I had
cardboard
those
thing.
too. The little cardboard cup.
Yeah, and they were very rudimentary, and you kind of, oh, it's cool. I could ride a roller coaster or something.
Yeah.
But when I got the Meta, which was probably like 2 years ago now, so it's not new. But I remember being really impressed. Like, oh wow, this can track where I am in the room, and the AR is pretty cool, and moving the head, it's really, really seamless. But no, it's definitely cool technology. I want to go back to one of the things you said, though, about Twitter and their technology, and specifically Elon Musk's desire to build out AI. Of course, they have Grok, not Gronk, like my wife likes to call him, but Grok is the AI system on Twitter. And I thought, correct me if I'm wrong, I thought that the whole appeal of Grok was Twitter or X is the training data. So presumably you go and ask Grok a question. It's a freaking shortcut in the app, roast me, Grok, and he's supposed to go into your profile, learn all about you, read your posts, and then he can presumably talk about you. Well, you and me, we were tweeting back and forth today. Some of our, we asked it to write a bio about us. And oh my God, mine said I was a big Beatles fan, an LGBTQ lover, probably told me I was Latino. It just came up with random stuff. It was like ridiculous. I mean, do you use AI? What's Grok? What's your favorite? Talk to me about that.
Yeah. So, look, I don't think there's just no beating ChatGPT right now.
Correct.
They are really far ahead of everybody. They've got a much more polished product. It is extremely useful. My day job, I'm a developer, so like I have used that for like complex tasks and stuff. Be like, okay, I'm tired of spinning my wheels on this. Here's what I want to write. Help give me some guidelines and put me in a direction that I can use it. And a lot of times you don't really have to do too much tweaking. Like it just gives you a good like finished product. Grok, I don't see the value at this point. Sure, maybe you could ask it like, who won the Battle of 1812, or like what year was the Battle of 1812, and it might tell you 1812. Like, right. I don't know. But what most people are going to use it for is account analysis. That is what most people want from Grok, I think. Because at this point, why pay $16 for it when you could just go to ChatGPT 3 for free, right?
Yeah.
And so I remember one of the first things I did was like, okay, give me an analysis. Like, who am I? And it said some ridiculous thing. Like, I started my account, like, I don't know, 5 years ago. I have 100,000 followers. I was like, all you got to do is just read the numbers on the screen. Like at this point, like 100,000 followers, I don't even have like 200 or 2,000, And so, I kind of like, I gave up on Grok at that point, but of course can't say anything negative about it. And all the Elon loving fanboys come out and want to jump down your throat. I don't know if you've gotten the vibe yet, but I'm not a huge fan of Elon Musk.
That's fine, man. Hey, I don't know anything about him. I don't have any loyalties. I was kind of excited. He's buying the app. Things are going to change here. And like we were saying before, you kind of get that little taste. You're like, oh, maybe this is really when it's going to happen for me. And no, it's not happening. It's very evident. He's got his buddies, I don't want to go out and accuse Doge designer or whoever. He's always reposting these logos and these graphics. Like they're basically on the payroll. I have to imagine that
he has to be. I mean, unless he is completely making up the data that he will post, because he's always posting things like,
Yeah.
oh, X traffic is up 7,000%, year over year. And, there's no way any of us have access to that data. So
Yeah.
somebody at Twitter is going, we don't want to put this out because then it looks biased. You put this out. But anybody that follows Twitter at all knows that Doge is basically just, he's an ex-employee without the badge. I mean,
Yeah.
his entire account, that's all he posts about is X.
Yeah, and actually, to hammer home Elon's pettiness, I remember just like 3 days ago, didn't he unfollow Mars Blog and Sawyer Merritt, two of his big, like literally, they only tweet about Elon Musk fanboy and Tesla, and he goes and unfollows them because they reposted one of his leaked internal emails that made him look like a huge scumbag.
Okay, so and this kind of circles back to what we were talking about earlier. I have not spent as much time on this platform since Friday.
Yes.
And so I got wind of a post. Somebody shared it in like a DM group that I'm in. And so I saw like a small like little thread where he was saying that anybody believes that who Elon follows is important is stupid. And at that point, like I didn't even know that there was like this unfollowing thing. So like I insulted the dude. I got in there and I was like, said like somebody that brushes his teeth with an Elon dildo shaped toothbrush or something like that. And, I, of course, never got a response. Probably showed up in the show more. But, I like I said, I've been a little salty since Friday. And, and so like I had no idea what was even going on. And this is the first I'm hearing exactly why Elon unfollowed him.
Actually, I wasn't able to read the article that was shared and shared this information because it was like you have to subscribe the informationist or I don't even remember what the blog was, but it was some email where he essentially emailed his executives at, I'm going to say Tesla, and I'm probably wrong, but it was executives at one of his bigger companies. And he basically says, it was Tesla. He says, if you're not going to fire any employees by this week that don't meet our trust and excellence metrics, you're going to be fired, essentially. And it was in reference to the executives that are running their charging station installations because he feels it's not going fast enough, right? And, that's what all the Elon fanboys were commenting below this, defending him, saying, this is what he did at SpaceX, and look what they did. This is what he did at the beginning of Tesla, and look what happened. It transformed the whole company. This is when the executives, they serve their purpose, and he kicks them out, and he finds a new one who can do better. And it's just like, I don't think that's the point. Like, he can run his company however he wants. He's just sending these 3-sentence emails that are threatening to fire you unless you fire everyone else. Yeah. That's not a good boss. Like, that's come on. Yeah. So it was a very strange thing. But listen, if you haven't been on X, where have you been? Is it really just YouTube?
All right, I haven't completely left X, but I was posting 3 or 4 times a day. I was posting a lot of my short form videos. And then, like I said, I got silently demonetized on Friday. And so I kind of took the weekend to kind of collect my thoughts of what I wanted to do, what my strategy would be. And what I decided was this platform, it's just not ready for prime time when it comes to monetization. They rolled it out too quickly. There's no customer support for anything. Like if you get any kind of issue, you might as well just take your note, put it in a bottle and throw it into the ocean because you're never going to find out any real reason as to what's going on. The algorithm changes that they're constantly doing is just really blowing things up, I think. And then like for this last one to be, our new bot detection service that we implemented, I guess we over-tuned it.
Yes.
I'm like, what do you mean you over-tuned it? That's kind of a big deal, especially when you're now dealing with people's money, right? It's not like it was, back when it was a free service, no ad revenue, like, okay, so your reach got nuked for a week. Sorry, like, okay, what's your real loss? Now people are losing money as a result.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I'm going to step back from my approach here. I've built 2 good of a community to just completely walk away. I don't want to do that. Like I've made too many good contacts here, met too many cool people. I get to do cool things like this where, I mean, who else is freaking interviewing an emoji person on a podcast, right? Like you and Positively Chris. Those are the two people that have, decided that like, oh, that emoji guy, let's interview him.
Shout out, Chris.
Yeah. So, I decided I'm not going to completely walk away, but when it comes to the content that I'm creating originally, the short form videos and things like that, I'm moving that off platform.
Yeah.
Now, it may take me forever to monetize somewhere else, but at least I know what the rules of the game are.
Yeah.
And the yard lines aren't moving on me every month, every week. So what I've done is I created a YouTube short channel, and I started out by just kind of uploading all my old videos that I had over here.
Yeah.
Which is kind of weird because most of my videos were kind of tailored for Twitter. Like they were,
or like even about Twitter, right?
Yeah, they were about Twitter. They were tailored for Twitter.
Yeah.
So I haven't posted everything over there just because some of it just doesn't make sense. I made a video once about like community notes, and I'm like, well, what's anybody at YouTube going to care about community notes? I've started putting videos over there. I actually put out my first set of original content over there this morning or today. I put out 2 videos. And look, I know every platform probably has a little bit of a honeymoon period where they elevate your impressions just to kind of get you that dopamine hit and get you hooked. It certainly happened at TikTok. I tried using TikTok a couple months back, and it was like the first couple videos skyrocketed, right out of the gate. And I'm sitting there going, man, I'm a really good content creator. This is amazing.
Yeah.
And then after that, it's like everything's like you're lucky to get 250 views,
Yes, that's almost exactly my experience that I've had. It was probably now 6 months ago, 8 months ago, where I opened the YouTube, the TikTok. I've always had a personal Instagram, but of course kept politics separate. And I just said, screw it. I'm posting it on Instagram too, everything. And I did find what was most interesting to me is, like you said, you're like impressed that, oh wow, I must be pretty good at this. I had a really good result. I think I got like 300 TikTok followers from one video.
Oh wow.
It got over 100,000 views. It was like my 3rd video, but I've posted probably 60 videos since then that get 200, so it's like a little confusing. But what I was going to say is all of these platforms are really unique, and it's kind of interesting to see how this will perform on X and this will perform on TikTok, but for some reason it doesn't perform on Reels, and then YouTube is running with this. It's very strange, and it's not as simple. Like that was my original goal, was very simple. I'll make a video, I'll post it on all 4.
Absolutely.
It doesn't work that way. It's not that easy.
So I actually did a comparison across. So I took a video that I posted Friday of last week, and everything goes back to Friday.
It's a big day.
We haven't even gotten to the boycott yet. Everything goes back to Friday. I took a video that I had there, and it did fairly well for Twitter standards. Like if I post a video and it gets 1,500 to 2,000 impressions, I pretty much consider that a win for my size.
Yeah.
And so I then took that and I put it on YouTube Shorts, probably Monday or Tuesday, and instantly, with no audience, got the same, if not more, amount of impressions as it did on Twitter over the entire weekend. And I have a fairly decent audience, a loyal following. And I was like, well, clearly YouTube Shorts is the better platform, right? If that is happening there with no audience, then forget Twitter. I'm done with that. Now, it still remains to be seen. I don't know yet if there is a honeymoon period. I've gotten kind of conflicting information. Some people say, no, it's just the way their algorithm is. And then others is like, well, I had this experience. Who knows? We'll see.
Yeah.
But then, so I posted those comparisons on Twitter, and everybody's like, well, do TikTok. Take that same video and go to TikTok, see what you get. I dropped it on TikTok, and I think it's been up for like 2 or 3 days now, and I don't know if it's even cracked 100 views.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the other thing is like TikTok, you got to use hashtags. YouTube, I have no idea if you do or don't. Twitter, apparently you're not
figuring
allowed
that
to.
out,
Yeah.
Right.
And then with YouTube Shorts, well, what I like about YouTube is that you can make content, and I don't know if this applies to Shorts the same way. It's much a newer platform, but like if you go on YouTube homepage for long form, at least you'll notice you have a 3-year-old video, a 3-month-old video, and a 3-hour-old video, and it's kind of cool. You almost you know, the YouTubers will tell you the long videos become assets where a year later you might go viral with the video because it became relevant or they just decided to push it then for some reason. And that was an interesting appeal to me. It was why I wanted to go over to YouTube. Not only the increased payouts, but the fact that it's like it's an asset. I'm creating something and it remains. You know, it's very interesting. But hey, still growing. I have some tips and tricks for YouTube growth I'll share with you off the air, or they'll be behind my paywall on Twitter that I'm
There
lucky
you go.
enough
Yeah,
to
the
get.
paywall. I might have to subscribe if that's the case.
Hey,
Are
only
you
cold
monetized
takes.
on- yeah.
Yeah.
Cold Takes is my brother, so don't.
Oh, sorry.
No. Are you monetized over on YouTube?
No.
Okay.
So to monetize on YouTube, you need 3 million short views within a year, or I think 3,000 viewing hours. No way. We're not even close to that. We got lucky with 1 or 2 videos and grew a couple thousand subscribers. Like, I have no idea how it happened, but it did. So we're over 7,000 subs, which is crazy.
Oh, nice.
But the videos don't get that much. I mean, they get a couple hundred views and a couple dozen hours of watch time, but we're not even breaking 1,000 yet. So close, but it's only been I think you're going to be like episode 14, 15, or 16, depending on when I edit and release it. So you know, we're relatively new. I think that's decent.
7,000 subscribers is nothing to sneeze at. I mean, that's.
Yeah, well, thank you. Yeah, nothing to sneeze at. We're having fun, and that's actually my buddy Mike. I got to give him credit. I'm the one that's like, I want views, I want monetization, I want to get out there and you know, have hot takes basically.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, remember, we got to stay true. We got to stay true to the mission. We got to stay, you know, focused and on the content, not the result. We need to focus on the content. So I'm grateful, Mike. Thank you for doing that. Shout out.
I was just say I run into the same issue that you do. Is I've gotten this mindset that like I have to try to put out content every day, right? Like just I got to stay relevant. I got to keep the views up. I got to keep in people's feeds and things like that. But then it's like you got to kind of take a step back, and it doesn't do you any good to just put out garbage content, right? Yeah. Like, oh, so I made a video and it, got 50 views. Great. I made a video today, like,
yeah,
if it's no good, it's no good. And so like, I have to keep reminding myself the same thing. Like, yeah. I don't need to make a video every single day. I don't need to have a post every single day. Like, take 2 or 3 days off and put out a good video as opposed to putting a subpar video out every day.
Yeah, it definitely makes sense, and that's how it works. That's how you've built your audience. So listen, I think we're coming to the end here, but what I wanted to end with was, and I'm gonna just make this portion a little separate clip for X, so we can kind of share it tomorrow and all of that when it's going on. But May the 4th, I'm not a Star Wars dweeb. I don't know if you are, but May the 4th. Is there something going on May the 4th?
Yeah, so we look, as I've mentioned last Friday, quite a bit. A lot of smaller accounts felt the squeeze, right? Like a lot of people got very upset with how X handled payouts, and not just payouts, but like the way that just people are getting shadow banned, or they feel like they're suppressed, or they feel like they should be a lot further along than they should. And it's because at the end of the day, the big creators are what X really seems to focus on. I mean, you see that with just Elon's interactions. And the small accounts, they kind of get forgotten. And so I was kind of looking for a way to like, let's start something. Let's get a revolution going, like I'm ready. I'm an American, and so, I still have a very small audience even at that point. And one of the people that follow me sent me a DM and goes, check out this guy's account. And he's got like 70,000 followers.
Yeah, I saw
and
that.
And he was posting like, we should just all stop posting on May 4th. Just a day of protest. And I was like, this guy gets it. And so like I DM'd him. I was like, dude, I'm 100% on board. What do we want to do? Like, how do we want to coordinate this? And so that's kind of what started it. And so we've been pushing the hashtag May 4th boycott. And really the idea is, if you're just unhappy, if you are dissatisfied with how this platform has been handling certain things, whether it's the monetization program, whether you've been shadow banned, whether your customer support, you're paying $16 to $22 a month, depending on how you subscribe, and you get zero customer support, like, that's unacceptable. And the small accounts need to realize that they have a voice, and that the platform needs us more than they need the big accounts. Because sure, your big accounts may drive the views, but guess who those views are?
It's the small accounts.
And so if the small accounts were to finally come together and say enough is enough, the platform would cease to exist. And I'm not saying that we've got a big enough movement to do that, but I'm kind of the opinion you can either bang your fist on the desks all day long and do nothing about something, or you can at least attempt to do something about it. And so my goal is, I will not post on May 4th. There's a bunch of other people that have said that they're not going to do it. Our hashtag's not trending yet, but it would be great if it was. And at the end of the day, it may fall flat, but at least we can walk away and say, you know what, we're not just sitting here whining, right?
Yeah.
Because whining is not going to get you anything. At least put some action behind that. And, hey, maybe we'll strike some lightning and somebody will notice, and they'll kind of step back and go, okay, we need to maybe focus a little bit more on some of these things that the small accounts are complaining about. Because at the end of the day, it would make the platform better. Increased customer service, payout or ad revenue programs that aren't as much up in the air as to 1 week or the next. Are you going to make $1 or are you going to make $100? Shadow bans that, like, there's one account, Chris and Ola. I shout them out all the time because I say they're small, but they're really, I don't think that much smaller than I am. But man, I know that they're getting suppressed because if I retweet them, my views go down. And it's
wow. Yeah. It's like
they make
contagious,
nothing but educational and wholesome content. Like, they'll be like, here's a 60-second video on the platypus. It's not, they're not out there showing like decapitated heads and stupid stuff like that. Like,
which tends to show up all over anyway.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. But against the terms of service, apparently. And so it's like, if those guys can't get views, and it's one thing if they're not getting views because people aren't resonating with their content. But what really got me is, like, I can typically at this point retweet somebody and it'll do fairly decent.
Yeah, I know what you mean, yeah.
I retweeted them and I got like 30 views in an hour. And I was like, okay, something's off here. Something's wrong. And they can't get any help at customer support. Nobody knows what's going on. They've about given up 2 or 3 times. And I'm always like, no, let's try to figure this out. Let's stay the course. And so that is what that kind of content there, that kind of message is what really drives me nuts. And kind of, besides my demonetization, they are the reason that I get so upset, because it's like, for every one of them, there's probably 100 more.
Yeah.
And like, that's just unacceptable to me, especially for a platform that charges its audience.
Yeah.
If you're going to pay $16 an hour, you better get something worth $16 an hour.
Well, per month, but even that, it's nothing.
Sorry, a month. Yeah. It's late.
It's
been a long day.
Holy.
16 an hour. Geez, yeah, just edit that out. Let me restart that. If you're going to pay $16 a month, you should at least get decent customer service, because you go to any other platform, they may have a monetize, like a pay for play section, but like, you get most of what you get at Twitter for free on every other platform.
Yeah, I agree. And actually, how about this one? I was pretty, I will say, I'm actually like offended and confused by it. They just released that if you have 2,500 verified followers, well, you get premium for free. Well, what about the guys with 16,000 followers? Obviously, 2,000 of them are verified. Where is my free X? I have to go pay them $19 next month. Like, what is going on here? It doesn't make any sense.
So I didn't even think about that. Like there would be a lot of people that qualify for that, but you're only hearing about some of the massive names that have qualified.
But
you're
like
right.
how would I know if I have 2,500 verified or not? I don't know. I don't think they. I guess they know, but I have to guess that I do. And then like, what are they going to email me? Congratulations, you no longer have to pay us. But then if I cancel, right? If I cancel, well, I'm going to lose all of my couple subscribers. Thank you to all of my subscribers who give me those 3 a month. It's not many, but thank you. But right, that'll go away if you're not blue or premium or whatever. So, you're going to screw yourself if you try to save money. Oh my God, it's very strange. So this is why you're calling for the boycott on May 4th. And I'm going to do it. You know what? I got plans anyway. I'm going to Yankees game. So I'm going to boycott on May 4th. And I hope that some of my followers will as well, because I agree. There's drastic action, as Jocko Willink calls it. This platform needs to take some drastic action to support the real meat and potatoes of who's messing around here, and it does have tremendous value. So I'm going to implore you to not give up. I want to see you on the platform. I think you definitely add to the platform. I've enjoyed watching your content and sharing it. I have a buddy. He's my other buddy that's on this podcast, John. He loves Rebecca Black, unironically. So I send him that every Friday, and he loves it. Yep. So shout out to John as well. Last shout out of the day. Listen, my friend, how do people find you? Where do you want them to find you? And, what message do you want to leave them with?
Yeah, so I will say this. I'm very critical of the platform quite a bit, but it's not because I hate it. I really do think that this could be a really awesome place, and I want to see it succeed. But I worry that some of the knee-jerk reactions and the shooting from the hip that happens might be its downfall. So because I am critical does not mean that I hate this platform or that I want to see it fail. It's actually quite opposite.
Yeah, I like that.
As for where you can find my content, obviously hot takes, hot_takes10 is what I am on Twitter, but I'm also that on just about every other platform. So YouTube Shorts is what my channel that I'm really trying to build up right now with my short form content. Please subscribe so that I can maybe get monetized over there one day.
Yep.
But I'm not going anywhere on this platform. I'll still be here. Like I said, I've built too cool of a community. There's some really awesome people that I've met on this platform that I talk to every day, probably more so than I do a lot of people I know in real life at this point.
Yeah.
So I'm not about to just walk away from that and throw all that away. So definitely you can find me here. You will definitely see some sort of Rebecca Black content tomorrow.
Good.
Rebecca Black Day. So happy Rebecca Black Day Eve to you and all who celebrate. And yeah, so it's been a great time. I'm glad you reached out and had me come on.
Yeah, man. No, it was really great to get to know you a little bit more, like in person, as much as you could call this in person. But it feels really authentic. I like it. Maybe I'll have to try it out one of these days.
We have Emoji Nation. That's our community.
Really, you do have one?
Emoji? Oh yeah, we got. If you look at my pinned or my community, it's on my profile. It's Emoji Nation. We do accept non-emoji people. You just have to be an ally of the emoji community.
Actually, I get complimented that my memoji is really accurate to me. And I think, when you have glasses and a beard, it helps because it's pretty easy to match the two. But
yes.
Yeah. You'll recognize it if I put my face on. You would see it.
I like it.
Yeah, man. All right. Well, hey, I will see you around on X. I will see you tomorrow. I will not see you on Saturday on the boycott May 4th. And hey, this has been Elevated Thoughts. Thank you, brother.
Thank you.